2020, a year we won't soon forget. So many heroes bravely stepped up to the plate in 2020, but only one can be Time Magazine's Person of the Year. What does it take to be considered for this lofty title? Courage, tenacity, and honesty, to name just a few. It's hard to find somebody who embodies all of these noble traits, but folks, Time did it again. They found someone who saw an opportunity to give back this year. This person unzipped our collective fly and put his tender paw down our pants.
Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, might have just experienced one of the most awkward scenes in the Borat film.
Of course, our person of the year is none other than Rudolph Williams Louis Giuliani, Esquire. The only man tough enough to give himself COVID just so he could beat it. And folks, Rudy Giuliani loves to beat it. Just the sight of him makes us melt, doesn't it, folks? In 2020, no one has touched us or themselves in quite the way Rudy has. Let's start at the beginning, January. The spotlight of the Donald Trump impeachment trial beckoned, and Rudolph Giuliani answered.
Joining me now is the man on the other side of that attack, former New York City mayor and attorney for the president, Rudy Giuliani.
In fact, Rudy was on TV so often, he had to start borrowing Tucker Carlson's old bow ties in some sort of twisted sisterhood of the traveling pants, but for wealthy dorks. Rudy even offered to testify during the trial. And in what would prove to be a decisive move, Trump's defense team did not call this man to answer questions under oath. It just proves that even in his absence, Rudolph Giuliani made a difference for our nation. As a student of the law, Giuliani is top-notch. As a diplomat, he's simply on another level. Don't forget that in January, the New York Times reported that the former mayor took time out of his busy schedule to lend a hand in beautiful Ukraine with no promise of personal gain. Rudy flew across the world just to talk to a top aide to the president of Ukraine for no reason at all, just to be nice. I guess he heard he had a tough week. What a saint. What a leader. Okay, done doing that. I was mostly being sarcastic just now. Quite the tone shift for this show, I know. But what I wasn't being insincere about is that Rudy Giuliani is the person of the year. No one on this earth is better suited to being the cursed avatar of 2020 than Rudy. Guys, Rudy Giuliani is so 2020, he just got COVID. Any word on how?
Yo, takes out the handkerchief, blow his nose, takes it booger side in, smears his hands all over it, wipes it into his lips, all over his face.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's backtrack to the start of the year. Impeachment was merely the amuse-bouche for the main course of shit on a stick that was the last 365 days of life. As COVID raged through the country in the spring, Giuliani was a loyal, spewing mouthpiece for the Trump administration, popping up on Fox News like a hungry raccoon peeking his head out from the inside of a dumpster. The message from Giuliani was in lockstep with GOP talking points. This virus was either a hoax created by liberals or an insidious form of social conditioning designed by a combination of China, Bill Gates, a cabal of pedophiles operating out of a pizza restaurant, or Hugo Drax from the movie Moonraker.
The human race, as you know it, will cease to exist.
Quick check on the hoax? Okay. During the summer months, we faced the collective reckoning of the George Floyd uprisings. So much of what went into the streets to protest last summer was the culmination of a project Rudy Giuliani began in New York, when the NYPD began its infamous Broken Windows Initiative, which encouraged police officers to crack down on minor offenses like graffiti and jumping subway turnstiles. The ridiculous theory behind this was that by intimidating people over small infractions, it would prevent larger crimes. Yes, some of us used to think that arresting someone for panhandling was a good way to scare international drug cartels. Broken Windows made superstars out of ghouls like Rudy and New York Police Commissioner Bill Bratton, who touted the perceived success of their heavy-handed, jackbooted fever dream. Sure, crime stats went down, but no one considered the consequences of criminalizing poverty, which is exactly what Broken Windows did by arresting people who couldn't afford subway tickets or a hot meal. In the early 2000s, cities around the country adopted similar methods to broken windows. The double whammy of this draconian policy and the hysteria around 9/11 led to the supercharging of already militarized police departments. There's a direct line between broken windows and I can't breathe, and if you don't see it, you're giving the police way too much credit. The whole policy was a free pass to terrorize citizens to prioritize the rampant development and gentrification that plagued the first 2 decades of the 21st century. In the end, Rudy Giuliani was actually named the real Time Magazine Person of the Year in 2001. And Bill Bratton did what most successful New York grifters do and moved to sunny Los Angeles, the Vatican for urban warfare enthusiasts. Why did Bratton leave New York? Because little Rudy thought he was getting too much credit for cleaning up the city. And that is the crux of the man's worldview. It begins and ends with what is beneficial to Rudy Giuliani. His political career seemed over at the start of 2001. He had to withdraw from his quixotic Senate race against Hillary Clinton thanks to a prostate cancer diagnosis. His affair with Judith Nathan made national headlines. It was over. And then, the destruction of the World Trade Center made him a mascot for our collective anguish. Rudy rode that horse into the ground, to the point that even Joe Biden got a zinger in on him.
Rudy Giuliani, there's only 3 things he mentioned in a sentence, a noun and a verb and 9/11. I mean, there's nothing else.
But it was obvious to anyone why Rudy mentioned 9/11 so much. It was like Al Bundy talking about scoring 4 touchdowns in 1 game for Polk High. That's all he's got. That's all he's ever got. But the man is addicted to the spotlight. He needs it. He craves it, like I yearn for Taco Bell to bring back the 7-layer burrito. You f***ers know I love that thing, and you get rid of it to spite me specifically? How dare you? After flaming out horribly in the 2008 GOP presidential primary, Rudy slithered back into the shadows, content to make money on speaking engagements and a consulting firm. That is, until he discovered the grift that keeps on grifting. Racism. Rudy smelled the acrid stench of Trumpism in the air in 2015, telling a Republican fundraiser audience that Barack Obama doesn't love America because he, quote, wasn't brought up the way you were brought up, and I was brought up through love of this country. Trumpism was Rudy's path back to relevance, and he took it with gusto. 2 years ago, Trump formally added Rudy to his personal legal team. Today, he's the last man standing, thanks to his preternatural ability to kiss 2 full cheeks worth of ass all at once, while seemingly having no remorse or awareness of the deeply embarrassing ways in which he continues to tarnish the good name of the human race.
Put down your crumb!
Folks, if you thought the Borat 2 scene was going to be the nadir of Rudy Giuliani's 2020, you were sorely mistaken. After all, Rudy didn't get his pants off in that movie. But he did, metaphorically, during the last few weeks of Donald Trump's sweat-stained gambit to pistol-whip democracy and steal the presidency at a press conference at Four Seasons Hotel. Sorry, I mean the even more popular Four Seasons Total Landscaping. Yes, that happened in the same year as Borat.
Also, when you say that there's no evidence, the people standing behind me are called witnesses.
Yes, those witnesses got their day in court to further humiliate themselves, Rudy, Trump, and everyone unlucky enough to have to watch their testimony for their YouTube channel.
The poll book is completely off. Completely off.
Off by 30,000?
I'd say that poll book is off by over 100,000.
I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say! Let me see Rudy's hair melting, okay? I need a break!
Rudy Giuliani getting hot under the collar today.
I don't know what you need to wake you up.
He was sweating so much, his hair dye was running down his face.
He's trying, folks. He's trying so hard against insurmountable odds to achieve his goal. In that respect, I can relate to him. I've been trying to get Taco Bell to bring back the 7-layer burrito for the last 3 months, and they don't even return my calls. I get up every morning and fire off a tweet to @TacoBell, hoping and praying that they'll respond saying, I'm sorry, we know that the 7-layer was a beloved menu item that appeals to both vegetarians and meat enthusiasts alike. It's coming back, and we're renaming it the Cody Special Burrito. That hasn't happened yet. I keep failing. Just like Rudy Giuliani, the last lawyer in the nation without a conscience who hasn't pissed off Donald Trump yet, and who has lost over 40 lawsuits connected to the 2020 election. Failure after failure piles up before him, just like all of us failing to keep it together through the worst year of our lifetimes. If you squint hard enough, Rudy Giuliani's persistence in the face of reality is almost inspiring.
The answer.
You have a point of order?
The answer that I gave you is they didn't bother to interview a single witness, just like you.
How is that not relatable? Whomst among us has not? Yes, Rudy Giuliani is our 2020 Person of the Year, because not only has his depraved, self-centered narcissism been at the heart of all of our societal misery, but he's also the perfect representation of all of our sad attempts to be productive during the year of hell. A beautiful metaphor for the dumbest and worst timeline imaginable. The man who caught COVID shortly after this public exchange.
Miss Jacob?
Yes.
I don't want you to do this if you feel uncomfortable. But would you be comfortable taking your mask off so that people could hear you more clearly?
Can you hear me now?
Can everyone hear it clearly?
We can hear it. We can hear you.
Okay.
So congratulations, Rudy Giuliani. Just like you said almost 20 years ago, we will never forget. Speech! Speech!
They didn't bother to interview a single witness.
Speech. And furthermore... Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe the video and then the channel, and check out our patreon.com/some more news. We got merch, we got a podcast called Even More News. I hope this video didn't come out on like the day Rudy died. That would be in bad taste, huh?